guys, welcome back to Check Your Leader TV. Today we're going to be continuing with the 1813 campaign, Battles for Germany, from Reisswitz Press, with the rules that we're using, General d'Armée version 2, and I'm going to follow the same format that we have previously. What I'm going to do is I will discuss the forces involved. I'll share my battle plan for this game, and then we'll play the battle out. I might break it into 2 videos. I don't know just yet. We'll see how we go for time. In all probability though, you'll see this video, which is the planning and the preliminaries, and then in the next video we'll actually fight the battle. This one's going to be a little bit different. Rowan, who I've been playing in the last 2 games with, is not available. He's had to go away and deal with a personal matter. So that leaves me trying to find an opponent, and my friend Arno, who was my former operations officer when I was serving in the army, he's agreed to play the role of the French divisional commander. So it's May 1813. It's the Battle of Bautzen. It's the 3rd scenario out of the 1813 Battles for Germany scenario book. The table size, it's 9 foot by 6 foot deep, so 9 foot wide, 6 foot deep. I always do my very best to make the map, the table match the map as best as I possibly can. There will be some troops that are standing in for other ones, so the order of battle won't be exact. For example, one of the French regiments, brigades, I'm substituting Saxons for no other reasons that I've got these Saxons painted up. They're morale-wise, they're classed as reservists for this battle, so these Saxons will fit in quite nicely, and they're really nice-looking troops, and I just want to use them. And also for the Allies, the force is supposed to be exclusively Russian, but I'm going to be using a mix of Prussians and Russians for this battle. But it'll all become apparent as we go along, and it absolutely has none of the troop classifications or qualities are being changed. I'm just swapping out nationalities, and it does make for a little bit more colourful battle, and you can delineate between the brigades much easier as well. So with that said, let's get on with the Battle of Bautzen. Okay, so the first thing we do is we dice to see what kind of brigade commander quality we have. Long story short, the Russo-Prussians gained a bold brigade commander, which must be allocated to the troops with the highest quality rating. As a consequence of that, von Kornilov's brigade, which is going to be Prussians today, they're 3 Fusilier battalions in lieu of the 3 Russian Jaeger battalions. They're graded as grenadiers, so they're the highest quality morale-wise in the Allied force, so they gain the brigade commander that is bold. That's quite convenient. It's just easier to remember. The Prussian infantry brigade commander is bold. Once we did that, I then placed down my tokens. I have 7 all up. I've got 5 brigades, and even though I'm keeping 1 brigade off table, I still get the token for that brigade. I also get 1 extra token for being the defender. That's a dummy. And because we are Russians post 1812, we get another token to place down as a dummy. So essentially, I've got 3 dummy tokens that I can put on the table. But I place them down. We then roll to see if the Russian Cossacks would be active in this particular battle, and they are. That reduces the French ability to scout to only 2 attempts. Once that's done, I then basically formulated my battle plan. So I'll go on with that now, and then we'll talk about how successful the French scouting was, and then deployment of troops. Okay, so let's have a look at the table. I've set it out in accordance with the map here. You can see in the lines where I do my calculations on how far things should be, where they should be located. So basically we have the rise here. This is the rise on the French deployment line. Okay, there are some troops already on the table. Ignore them. They're not there. I just had to put them somewhere. So I've just placed them on the table for Arno to grab as he requires them. So we have the rise here. We go across. There's the orchard. There is Windmill Hill. And then we have in the corner the village of Gleaner. Then the stream that goes behind the two villaged areas. We have the wooded ground here, where it terminates, boggy, marshy kind of ground there. Then we have the village, I'll try to pronounce these correctly, Pretitz, and then we have the high ground here. So this, like I said, Windmill Hill, and the high ground. And that's pretty much it for the terrain. Obviously, the dominant features are the two villages and the two pieces of high ground. In this scenario, the French win by seizing two pieces of critical terrain. They make a note. It's secretive. They don't share that with me. We play the game until its conclusion, and then it's revealed if they captured the objectives. So they could, for example, decide to try and capture both of the high ground, so Windmill Hill and high ground. They might go Windmill Hill and Galil, or high ground and Pretitz, or any variation on the theme. So that's the terrain. Again, table is 6 foot deep and 9 foot wide. Yeah, so that's that. So now what we're going to go on with is the battle plan. I'm defending again. So I'll be commanding the Russo-Prussian forces. According to the scenario, exclusively Russian, but in today's game, there'll be a mix of Russians and Prussians. I'll be commanding them, and Arno will be commanding the French-Saxon forces. In the scenario, they're all French, but today's battle, we have a Saxon brigade joining us in lieu of one of the reservist French brigades. Okay, now because the French won the last battle, they get Jat's cavalry brigade joining them as well. And I draw your attention to the scenario if you have it, the scenario book. If not, again, more will become apparent as we prepare for the battle. So what we're going to do now is we'll have a quick look at the order of battle. The Russian CNC is classed as our campaigner, which is handy to know. Bernardozov's brigade consists of 4 standard infantry units, but with 4 skirmishers. Von Karnilov, this is now a Prussian brigade. Instead of 3 Jaeger battalions, they're 3 Fusilier battalions. But hey, same thing. Standard size and grenadier rated. They have 5 skirmish bases with them. They've also got an artillery battery attached to them. Oh, sorry, on my mistake. Bernardozov's brigade with the 4 Russian line battalions, that has the 12-pounder large artillery battery attached to it, the Russian battery. Moving on, Inzov's brigade consists of 2 battalions of line infantry and 2 battalions of Russian Jaeger. They have 5 skirmish bases as well. And then, as we see, that 12-pounder foot battery, that's attached to the 1st brigade. Umanets brigade, today, that's going to be von Umanet's brigade, and it will consist of a Prussian Dragoon regiment, line campaign standard size, and a Prussian Hussar regiment, line campaign standard size. And finally, there is a Phelan's brigade, the Russian Dragoons. Today, they're going to be using Russian cuirassiers, but I'm going to treat them as if they are just standard line campaign cavalry. There's 2 of them. Okay, they'll look like cuirassiers, but they're not. Well, they are, but they're, I don't know, maybe they're just tired cuirassiers. They're not particularly good cuirassiers. they're not heavy cavalry. They're just going to be line cavalry, and they and that 6-pounder horse artillery battery, that's going to be attached to Umanetz von Umanitz's Prussian cavalry brigade. Okay, now let's have a look at the French forces. Anthing's brigade, 2nd Provisional Leger, 3 standard line quality light infantry. Today they're going to be the French 1st Leger, and they have 5 skirmish bases attached to them. Hulot's brigade is the 136th line. Today they're going to be represented by 2 Swiss battalions and 2 French line battalions. 4 battalions essentially line quality with 4 skirmish bases. Next we have the 138th line. Today they're going to be represented by the 51st Regiment. 4 battalions, but they'll be classed as reservists. You'll notice they're wearing greatcoats. And then we have Goddard's brigade. Today it's going to be von Goddard's brigade. The 145th line will instead be represented by 4 battalions of Saxon infantry. They're classed as reservists, and they have 4 skirmish bases. The 8-pounder batteries, the first one's going to be attached to the brigade of Hulot's, and the 2nd battery will be attached to the brigade of Anthing's. So the 2 better quality brigades will get the artillery attached to them. The 10th Hussars and the Baden Dragoons will be represented by I think they're the 5th Hussars and a regiment of French Dragoons. The French Dragoons will be classed as battle cavalry and grenadier quality, whereas the Hussars will be line quality and on campaign horses. And finally, the French will also have Jet's brigade, which will consist of Württemberg and Hessian Chevaliers, and they're off table in reserve. So they're the French and Russian/Prussian forces for today's battle. So this is how I'm going to deploy in this particular engagement. Bernadoslov's brigade, consisting of 4 line battalions, are going to be on the Russian left, and they're going to be attached. They're going to have attached to them the large 12-pounder Russian battery, and they will situate themselves in the vicinity of the high ground. The mixed brigade of Jaeger and line infantry under Inzov, they'll deploy in the vicinity of the village of Prietz. 1 battalion will be garrisoning. I'll probably place the other one directly to the rear to support. And then the other 2 Jaeger battalions, I'm not quite sure where I'll deploy yet. We'll just wait and see where the French end up on the table, and they'll move into position to counter them. The other infantry brigade, the brigade of Kanalov, I'm using Prussians in their stead. So 3 Prussian Fusilier battalions, and they will deploy in the vicinity of Glina. 1 battalion garrisoning, and the other 2 battalions, I'm not quite sure exactly where I'll place them yet. The horse artillery battery will be attached to the cavalry brigade under Umantes. I think that's how you pronounce it, Umantes. So it's von Umantes today. And so this cavalry brigade will be represented today by a regiment of Prussian Dragoons and a regiment of Prussian Hussars, and they have an attached horse artillery battery. Now the Russians, their horse artillery batteries are large, but you can downgrade them to standard size, and they then operate as standard horse artillery, which makes them a little bit more mobile. And I've decided for today's game, that's exactly what they're going to be. They're going to be a standard size horse artillery battery, just in case I need to move them about. And finally, the cavalry brigade of Phelan. I'm going to be using Russian cuirassier miniatures because I don't have any painted up dragoons. They're going to be held off table in reserve. So that's how I'm going to deploy. The reason why I'm doing this is
quite frankly, with the objectives being a mystery to me and known only to the French, I've got to hedge my bets. I suspect it'll either be the high ground and a village, or Windmill Hill and a village, or it could possibly be the two forward pieces of high ground, Windmill Hill and the high ground. So that's also conceivable. So having a bet each way, I'm going to put most of my effort. I think the French will attack on their right or my left, and I think they'll probably go for, in all probability, this high ground here and the village. As a minimum, I think they'll go for the high ground and the high ground. I don't think they'll try for this village down into this corner here. But by keeping one of the cavalry brigades off table as an off-table reserve, I can move it to one flank or the other, whichever seems to be the most threatened. If the French come on this side here, on my left, the Fusiliers could always move into this wooded area here and provide enfilade fire as the French come through here. If they come this way, the cavalry can quickly come up in support, and I can move the Jaegers, the Russian Jaegers, from this flank across to help the Prussians. So that's my plan. And we're going to be playing this game a little bit different than we normally do. More of that in a moment. But so what we'll do now is I'll deploy the French troops will get deployed on table. Then my troops will get deployed on table. I'll show you how the initial deployment looks miniatures wise on the table, and then we'll talk about how we're actually going to play this out. Okay, so now what I'm showing you here is Arno's battle plan. Now this was presented to me after I concluded I laid out my tokens, I prepared my battle plan, and then Arno sent this through to me so I could then deploy his troops for him. But I should add, we're playing this remotely. So Arno's in Melbourne, he's sending his orders through. I'm at home, and I'm sending my orders through too, but the troops are actually being moved by both my son and his friend. So we've got Arno and I are playing the roles of divisional commanders on high, and the lads, the two boys, they're playing as the brigade commanders. So I can't micromanage the actual maneuvers and movements of the brigades and individual battalions. I have to give my orders, and that's the same for Arno. But anyway, Arno has sent this through and given the orders that correspond to these deployments to Sam, the lad who's commanding the French. Now, obviously, that means I now know what the objectives are, but I've already deployed in relation to what I assumed the objectives were going to be. And so going forward, some of the mystique of the game has been blown away. It's pretty obvious that the French are going for the high ground and the village of Pretitz. Okay, so here we see how the French are deployed. We see from left to right, Labousier's brigade on the French right flank, followed by Hulot's brigade with a battery attached, then Anthony's brigade with a battery attached, then Grillot's brigade, these are the reservists. They're deployed just opposite the stream and wooded area. And then, of course, we have the Saxon brigade deployed opposite Windmill Hill. Now, before we go on with the rest of the briefing, I should mention the scouting process. The French attempted to scout tokens 1 and tokens 4. Now, there was a 7th token. It doesn't show up on the map, but it was actually located in the wooded area. That's neither here nor there, though. When the French did their scouting, they attempted to scout token 1 and were unsuccessful with that one. And they scouted token 4. That one they were successful with,
but token 4 was a dummy, so it didn't reveal anything. So basically, for the French, they deployed completely blind. Their scouting revealed nothing of the Russian and Prussian positions.
So now I'll just do a bit of a flyby of the French deployment. As we can see here, we have the Saxon Brigade deployed here on the extreme left for the French. Then we have the 51st line, 4 battalions of reservists. Then the 1st Light Infantry, 3 battalions of French Legion, their accompanying battery, then their battery that belongs to Hulot's Brigade, the 4 line regiments, the 2 Swiss and the 2 French, and then Labousier's brigade laid out there. And there is the disposition of the Russians and the Prussians. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you now are the divisional orders that Arno sent through for the French attack. These were given prior to the game, post-deployment, but prior to the kickoff of the actual game. Divisional orders. Gentlemen, the enemy sits before us and the Emperor commands that we seize the village of Priets. Our scouts have determined that the summit of the high ground to our right is clear of the enemy. Therefore, I intend to advance on our right and secure the high ground, objective 1, before sweeping around and enveloping Priets, objective 2, from the right. Orders to brigades are as follows. Labossiere, you are to take your cavalry and clear the right of the high ground. Use your light cavalry to advance with the dragoons in support and clear around the feature. If possible, continue around and clear the Russian rear and seal off the right-hand side of Priets and isolate the rear of the village if feasible. Prevent any Russian reinforcements of the village. Brigade Hulot, you are to advance with vigour to clear the high ground of any Russian units. Send forward a strong skirmish screen. Have 2 battalions forward with 2 in support. Once you have secured the heights, you are to pivot to your left and advance down the slope into Priets. Coordinate your assaults with brigade under the command of Brigade General Anthing. You have a battery of guns to assist you. Once you have secured the high ground, ensure that you sight your guns to support your assault on Priets. You are the main effort. Brigade Anthing, you are to advance in strength on the village of Priets. Put out a strong screen and advance on a 2 battalion frontage with 1 in support. You will cover the front of the village and support the advance of Hulot. You have a battery of guns to assist you in clearing the centre. Once you are in range of the town, you are to use your guns to reduce any defenders in the area. If Hulot cannot capture the village, be prepared to take up the assault, as it should be isolated and reduced by then. Brigade Grilot, you are to advance down the centre and make a demonstration to the right of the windmill feature. You are to screen the Russians to your front and keep their attention. Your main mission is to prevent the Russians or Prussians from interfering with the advance of Anthing's brigade or reinforcing Priets across your frontage. Straddle the stream if you must. I do not want you decisively engaged, so keep a strong screen forward and ensure you have 2 battalions up and 2 in support. Once the assault on Priets develops, be prepared to assault Priets if required or screen the woods to the right of Windmill Hill. Feature to stall any Russian advance to support Priets. Saxon Brigade Goddard, you are to secure our left flank and screen the enemy to your front on the windmill feature. Advance with a strong screen to your front and 3 battalions forward with 1 in support. Make a firm demonstration, but do not get decisively engaged. You may occupy the orchard to your left if tactically advantageous. However, I do not want you to advance beyond it, nor to engage the windmill feature unless you find that is unoccupied. You are to guard the left flank of Grilot's brigade. Should the attack prove a failure, we will withdraw towards your right and you will have to cover the retreat. Be attentive to opportunities that reveal themselves and ensure that you provide reports about enemy activity to your front. Brigade Jet, you are the reserve. Be prepared to advance your cavalry on my command. I'm concerned about possible Russian cavalry interfering with the advance in the centre, so you might need to disperse them in support of Anthing or Griot. Once you have driven off the Russians, keep your horsemen under control. Be prepared to either support Griot in preventing Russian reinforcements of Priets or assisting Labousierre with his efforts in the enemy rear. Artillery general orders, priorities of fire. Cavalry,
infantry, then artillery. Okay, these are the French orders for the assault. What follows now are the orders for the Prussian and Russian forces. 1st Brigade, Bernadozov, you are to maintain your position on the high ground for as long as possible. It is expected that the greater part of the enemy will fall on your position. Give ground only by retiring to the second line, but no further. You are to hold at all costs. If the enemy are seen to be attacking the Windmill Hill in great force, be prepared to take the offensive and envelop the enemy right flank. 2nd Brigade, Inzov, you are to hold the village Predits at all hazards. It is expected the enemy will initially attempt to seize the high ground and then attack your position, or attack your position and the high ground simultaneously. If you are attacked, you can expect support from Phelan's Cavalry Brigade and Prussian forces as soon as practicable. 3rd Brigade, the Prussian Brigade under von Kandilov. I expect that the enemy will attack the high ground and Predits. Consequently, be prepared to go over to the offensive with von Ulmanat's brigade supporting. If, however, your position is the objective of the enemy, hold Windmill Hill for as long as possible until Russian troops relieve you. Von Unamat's brigade. You are to support the Prussian infantry and be prepared to take up the offensive operations in support of the Russians defending Priets and the high ground. Phelan's brigade. You are the reserve. I will commit you to whatever positions are threatened and that I have determined are the enemy's objectives. Artillery fire priorities. You are to concentrate on assaulting enemy infantry, enemy cavalry, and engage in counter-battery fire as appropriate. Okay, so that concludes basically orders of battle, opposing plans, and deployment of troops for this game, the Battle of Bautzen. Okay, and that will conclude part 1. In part 2, we'll commence the game. We'll kick off straight away into it, and it's shaping up to be quite an interesting battle. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment section below. I'll also put in there in the description of the video links to the battles of Weissenfels and Lutzen, the ones that were played earlier. Mainly because, especially in Weissenfels, I explain the IMAP procedure, the individual military appreciation process that I go through when I formulate my plans. You'll also, because Arno is also a veteran, he would have used the same methodology in working out how he was going to tackle this particular tactical problem. Until we get the next video loaded up, I'll see you when I see you. Yibakway.